The evidence about the abduction of children from Ukraine is pretty strong. Of course, there's all these stories about summer camps and about patriotic education, and the various figures which have been alleged. There can be anything up to 307,000 or more children who have been removed from Ukraine and taken directly to Russia, often from the occupied territories in Ukraine and taken to Russia, child abduction. It's often called filtration technique, and it was identified very clearly by Amnesty International, who are the people who came up with the 307,423 who were abducted by June last year, by June 2022. But then there are another 1,800 who were apparently abducted in July. Now, the problem is that this not only it goes against various conventions, but it also potentially treads on the 1948 Genocide Convention. This could be interpreted as an act of genocide. Now, where does President Putin come into all this? Because, of course, it could easily be dismissed as something that his juniors have done and he hasn't done well. He is implicated, absolutely, because on the 30th of May, there was a decree that he put out, a law that he put out in Russia, allowing the forced adoption of these children, streamlining their process towards full Russian citizenship. So he is fully implicated, and the whole thing looks very difficult legally to wriggle out of. My biggest concern about all this is that although this might be a victory, it's a Pyrrhic victory, because it's now going to make it almost impossible to bring Mr. Putin to a negotiating position. It's going to be impossible, I think, almost impossible, to get Mr. Putin out of Russia to negotiate directly with President Zelensky, let's say, for example, in the Vatican or in Israel or in India, because wherever he now goes out of Russia, he risks being arrested. Although I entirely agree with the charges and with the impulse to charge him and to issue a warrant, I think politically this may have been misjudged, because it's now going to make the effort for peace even harder. It's given Mr. Putin less of a way out. Now, of course, the hardliners would argue that Mr. Putin never had any intention of a way out. That may also be true. But it's made the game harder to play. It's raised the stakes.